Hello, educators from Edmentum. This is James Moon, the International Business Development Manager for Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you for joining us in the pre-arranged Tri-Association introductory product session for all those member schools of the Tri-Association and any other schools really that fall within Latin America and the Caribbean. One of the things we wanted to do, due to brand awareness really, was to give everybody a bit of an overview and snippets of some of the solutions we have that are currently supporting many schools globally, internationally, from an international school perspective, and just give you, like I say, that overview of what these products are doing, how they work, the year groups and the grades they support, and give you an idea of what the solutions look like and how they feel to somebody who is using them. Before I continue, we've got a few slides before we get into the product demonstrations themselves. Like I say, we won't give you full product demonstrations. We'll keep them very short and snappy for you. But before we do that, I just want to take you through a little bit about the Edmentum history and overview. So our kind of mission, vision and values you can see are outlaid here. So for us, it's learner-centric. It's all about the teachers and the educators that are supporting those students, making sure that we're giving them the best outcomes to progress in life and to achieve all the things they want to achieve. Our history itself goes significantly way back. We've just celebrated our 60th anniversary in education and digital curriculum and content and assessment. And as you can see from the timeline here, Edmentum is made up of a number of smaller companies or businesses, if you like, that have been purchased and brought onto the portfolio of Edmentum's sort of background and what we do. So you can see that we started first of all in sort of Plato Learning way back in 1960. And as you move through the years, you can see that we've added different products and solutions as we move forward, where EdOptions Academy, our virtual classroom, was created in 1997, called Educational Options. And as you move through, we've got Apex Learning, which has just come on board recently, but they were founded in 1997. And then you've got Study Island as you move through. You've got ExactPath, which is our one of our most popular solutions, which is our diagnostic assessment, which creates automatic learning paths for students in language arts, reading and math. And you move through to Calvert Learning, which is part of our offering as digital content only, or as part of our K through 5 offering for EdOptions Academy. And then you can see at the end, we've just recently acquired Apex Learning. So just gives you an overview of how far we've come as a business, what we've achieved, and probably how many students we've supported over the years. The next slide just really covers just some numbers really to highlight exactly how much we do for people and students and learners across the globe. So, we currently support over 5 million students annually with digital content, curriculum and assessments. We partner with over 8,000 schools and districts globally. As you can see, there's loads of courses and students enrolled throughout the 2020-21 school year, and over 300 million practice questions were answered during the school year as well in some of our solutions, and over 200,000 students leveraged our virtual academy, which is the K through 12 virtual schooling options, which we'll cover through a little bit more later on in this presentation. To give you an overview, a little bit of a nice picture diagram here that kind of covers you and outlines exactly how these solutions fit. So they come into 3 brackets. We've got assessments for learning, we've got digital curriculum, and then instructional and educational services. So assessments for learning are really for you to leverage to either find the gaps within students' learning. As I mentioned, ExactPath earlier on, which was the language arts, reading and maths solution with diagnostic assessment. So for example, you can go in there and you can highlight those needs, those skill gaps, those students, especially given the time that we've had with the pandemic. A lot of students have fallen behind with particularly their English and their reading. So it's a really good way of benchmarking where the students are and offering them a way of getting them back on track. And with that, you've also got Study Island. Study Island is the test, exam and assessment prep, if you like. So this is a really great way of assessing the learning and making sure they're ready for those tests or those assessments or exams that you've got. And what's great about these is there's pre-written assessments and things in there, or you can even write your own. So given the fact that there's key languages like Spanish and Portuguese in Latin America, then you can almost write yours and the answers in your own language if you wanted to. Digital curriculum or content itself is just a way of just offering you content to make your lives easier. So it's not eradicating the textbook, but it's obviously giving you another opportunity to deliver content within the classroom. And we'll cover more of those in more detail as Gareth, my colleague, will take you through in a second in the demonstrations of the solutions. And then ultimately then we come to the instructional and educational services. So we're talking here about mainly our EdOptions Academy and also our base as well in there. So what we have within here is a way for you to offer additional solutions, again, if you like, which will fill gaps. So for example, you might have a shortage of teachers. You may have certain subjects that you don't cover as a school. You may want to offer an option for students to join that aren't local to the area, but that want to work from home in a virtual environment. And again, we'll talk about how we support you from the teacher and the subject and the content point of view later on in this demonstration, and explain to you exactly how you can leverage these solutions if you needed to. Again, just a quick overview of those solutions. I've mentioned all this, so I won't go into too much detail now. BASE is a relatively new one for us, which supports your SEL learners. So there's also now an assessment baseline within there that can assess your students on a wellbeing perspective. And then FEV Tutor, which you haven't spoken about much, but this is like a tutoring service, which is on top of, can be used, made available for top of courseware or even the EdOptions Academy. The last slide really just covers exactly what grades that we support. So you can see BASE will support grades 1 through 12 in higher education. Courseware supports 6 through 12. EdOptions Academy is K through 12. ExactPath K through 12. Study Island K through 12. And Calvert Learning is K through 5. And without further ado, now we give you a quick overview. I'd like to hand you over to Gareth, my colleague, who would like to take you through some of these solutions in more detail. Over to you, Gareth.
Thanks, James. If you just unshare your screen, I'll share mine. That's okay. So what I'll go through today then, first of all, I'll go through ExactPath, and then we'll talk a little bit about Study Island. Then we'll do courseware, and then I'll hand back to James to go through a bit more detail of the EdOptions Academy offering that we have. So first of all then, I wanted to talk about ExactPath. ExactPath is a K-12 solution, and it starts off with a diagnostic assessment. Now, there's a couple of different assessments you can choose from. We have our own diagnostic assessment that adapts as the student's answering. So the first question will be on grade level, and if they get the question correct, the next question's harder, and then if they get it incorrect, the next question's slightly easier. And it keeps doing that along that assessment, either in math, in reading, or in language arts, so that we get an accurate picture of where the student's strengths and where their weaknesses are. And from there, we will provide them with a playlist of content. So a learning path filled with content based on that initial diagnostic assessment. So based on their weaknesses, so that we can provide them with lessons to help them grow academically. So as I say, we have our own diagnostic, and I'm just quickly showing you some of the results that you can get. So you can see where their grade level and proficiency is. You can see how they compare to other students who have taken the same test in the US, and you can get a sense of their growth over time. If you're using another assessment, such as the NWA MAP assessment or the Renaissance STAR diagnostic assessment, we can implement those instead. So you don't have to take our assessment. You can either do the MAP or the Renaissance Star, and we can upload those details automatically, and you still get a learning path. But the main part of it, so that's just the start, that assessment piece. So what ExactPath is doing is answering that question of what do we do with that data? How do we help the students progress using the data that we have with those tests that we take 2 or 3 times a year? So this learning path, as I say, provides content based on the weaknesses that we found in that assessment. And what you're looking at here, so you've got the students here on my class on the left-hand side. You've then got the curriculum along the top, so every skill in a grade. So down here, we've got 3rd grade, we've got 4th grade that starts here, and all of the skills in 4th grade goes to 5th grade and so on. But then each line corresponds to a student. So Ben is the top line, Maria is the second. It doesn't quite line up here, but you can see that each row corresponds to a student. And what you're seeing here basically is a plot of the student's knowledge based on that initial assessment. So the easiest way to explain it is everything in the green stripes, that's what the students know, and everything in the grey, that's what the students don't know. And then in blue, that's what we've automatically been given the student to practice to start with. So this is a teacher view of that learning path. So you can see all of your students, and it really just highlights what your students know, what they don't know, and what they're practicing. But you can get a sense here just how each student's working on something different. So Ben has different gaps to what Anna might have. And looking at my class, actually, I've got a chunk of students who are in 3rd grade. But if I scroll down, the majority have actually passed into 4th grade. And as I keep scrolling, you start seeing those gaps. So no matter where you are, ExactPath is going to provide you with content based on your weak areas, and so that we can progress through. So if I skip ahead 2 months now, so this is just after we've taken that test, but if I skip ahead 2 months, you start to see the picture slightly change. So as the students progress on this and they start working through their learning path, and by the way, they get a learning path for math, reading and language arts, so 3 altogether. And we say that if they can use this 20 minutes twice a week for each subject, so that's 40 minutes per subject per week, we will see real growth in between those tests. So the next time they do the test, they'll hopefully improve. What you're seeing here, that all the dark green now, the students have now mastered this. So they've, using ExactPath and the lessons they go through, they have now mastered those skills. Because hiding underneath these blue squares is content. And what the students get is 3 pieces of content. They'll get a lesson, they'll then get an activity, and they'll then get a mastery quiz for each of these blocks. So they'll do 3 pieces of content for 4 blocks. So they'll always get 4 skills. Sometimes they'll get less, but they'll never get more. So 4 skills at a time. And that's why most of you can see you've got 4 blue blocks they're working on. And once they've completed those pieces of work, we'll then do a progress check. So like another mastery quiz, if you like, that will cover everything they've done in that subject. Then once, if they've shown mastery, they'll then move on. And in an ideal world, they'll just keep mastering all of their skills and move along that path. But obviously, that doesn't happen. And we have instances where students have maybe failed a topic or are struggling with a topic. So what ExactPath does is automatically provide students with remedial work. So here, Ben has failed once on addition and subtraction. So what ExactPath has done is set Ben work from the grade below. So you can see here, addition and subtraction in grade 3. It's almost like a foundational skill. So this learning path is all automated. So they get set the work automatically. And if they're struggling with a topic, they then get remedial work. They won't know that they've gone to the grade below. They just keep progressing through their learning path. If they fail twice, however, then they get the red X. And that's where you as a teacher can come in and step in and support that student. And we provide you with content to help with that. So all of these squares are clickable. So you can take a look at how they did in the practice, the mastery quiz and so on. But you also get access to worksheets, you get access to Khan Academy videos and lesson plans that the student don't see, but help you help the student. So what we're aiming to do with this is put the data in your hands, but also provide you with an opportunity to let the students grow academically while you focus on your in-class work. So by no means is it trying to take over. It's there in the background to help you help the student. So the actual learning path is the main part of ExactPath. And you as a teacher can manage this. So when you log in, you get like a notification page. So you can see which students are struggling, which have failed twice and so on. You can create groups from your, so as you're coming to do certain topics, you can group your students together based on who knows what, and you can do that automatically. And you can set assignments in here as well. So on grade level work that you want to assign on a day-to-day basis, you can do that in here. So there's lots of different features in ExactPath. But one thing to bear in mind that ExactPath is all about growth. So it's trying to help those students who might be struggling, especially with things like reading and language arts for students with English as a second language or an additional language. It really helps those students meet them where they are so that they can improve on their terms. So moving on to Study Island then, and I'll try to talk about how these relate to each other as well. So Study Island is another program that we have that goes from K to 12. And this is available in language arts, math, science, and US social studies as well. And what Study Island is essentially a bank of questions. It's very much a practice program. So if you think of ExactPath as growth, you could think of Study Island as practice. So if you've got students coming up to their high stakes tests, this is a great tool for that. If you want to do some flipped learning where you want to see what your students know before you teach it, Study Island is fantastic for that. But generally practicing and getting used to online testing and practicing the skills they've got either on grade or below grade or any grade really. So it has over 600,000 questions within Study Island, so a huge bank of questions. And the idea would be that I've come into third grade, let's go to math, and you could set either a particular topic. So if I actually show you what the practice questions look like, I've come into real world multiplication problems here. So you could set these questions, they'll get 10 questions, but there's usually a bank of maybe 30 or 40 questions for each skill in each grade. So you know that if you're going to set this again, they'll get a different set of questions. And the idea is that there will be multiple choice, they could be drag and drop, or they could be picked from a list. There's actually 13 types of different questioning available through Study Island. So it's a great way to see how they're doing. And as you can see, I need to maybe revise this a little bit. But the idea of this is that with these questions, you can do a lot of things with them. So that's just a standard practice that I've gone through there, just going through the questions one by one. But we also offer the availability to do game mode, which allows students to play games every time they get a question right. And they have a leaderboard, so they can play with their friends and compete against their friends in a safe environment. You also have group sessions where you as a teacher can bring Study Island into the classroom, get all the students logged on into your class, and you can run this group session either as a checkpoint where you have the question up on your smart board or on your Zoom call, and each student answers that question, which is a really great way. When you were in class, when you were in school, you might have noticed that there's one person who always put their hand up for every question. But this helps you get an understanding of what everyone knows about the topic, all in one go right there in the classroom. And then for those students who enjoy a challenge or a little bit more competitive, we have the availability to do a challenge where there's a timed quiz and a race where the students answer as quickly as they can. but it's presenting those same questions in different ways. And so what Study Island does, it puts the power in the teacher's hands to provide these questions in the way that you want to. So we have this huge bank of questions, and as I say, we want to put it in your hands. So we also offer a built test library where you can build your own test using the questions that we have available. So what you could do is come into any of these grades. So let's go to 6th grade, and I'll go to Language Arts. And I could pick any of these topics, and I can set any of the questions. So I've just come into one of them, and what it's going to do is load all the questions up. As I mentioned, they've all got a bank of questions. So this one has 33 in the bank, and I can select whichever ones I'd like. So let's add a few in here. And then I can go into a different topic and add some from there as well. And the same for different subjects. So let's say I just want to create a quiz that what's happened today. So the different lessons I've done today. I could build that myself and just set that. But also we get feedback that schools want to be able to set their own questions. And so what we've provided is a custom material tab where you can create your own topics, which have your own lessons. You can upload PDF lessons or documents, and then you can write your own questions too. So if I come into one of these, you can write your own multiple choice questions, true or false, or short answer questions. And then you can set that either as your own topic, or you can mix it in with our own questions so that the students are getting a blend of our questions and your questions as well. So, and not only that, you can use your own language or your own keyboard as well. So it's really up to you how you use this custom material tab, and it provides a greater flexibility. Finally, with Study Island, so thinking about, again, how that links and how you could use ExactPath and Study Island, for example. ExactPath is something that you use maybe 2 or 3 times a year for that assessment, and then they're growing and working through that content so they get confident in skills that they weren't confident in before. But while in the background, you could use Study Island day to day, either to ask those questions, practice certain topics you've done in the classroom, or practice for those assessments that are coming up. And so there's uses for both of these, either together or by themselves. And finally, we also provide here a teacher toolkit, which has thousands of pieces of material here, ranging from lesson plans, virtual laboratories, and teacher videos as well. So in any of the grades, so K to 12, you could come in here, find maybe a lesson plan for numbers and operations, for example, and it will have Word documents, PowerPoint presentations, and that means then you can edit these yourself because they're the actual documents. You can come in and add things that you want to and make those additions. So that's Study Island. So you've got growth for ExactPath, you've got practice for Study Island. And then the next one is courseware. So courseware is a middle to high school solution. So this goes from grade 6 through to grade 12. And it starts off as a huge library of courses. We have over 400 courses within courseware that allows you to digitize your offering or expand your offering. So we have subjects or packs like you've got your core subjects such as your English, math, science, but you also have elective courses, health and education, foreign languages, all sorts of different types of courses, from robotics to film to you name it pretty much. There's over 400, as I say. And each one of these is a semester long. So they're 18-week courses. And the idea of them is that you can use them in different ways. So some schools like to use these, let's say, for credit for recovery, where a student might have failed this course before and they need to catch up on that credit. So that's one use for them. But you also can use this as first-time credit, where the student's never done this before, but you want to offer it in a digital manner. And And it's thorough enough that the student can do this independently if they wanted to, with 70% of it being automatically marked and 30% of it being teacher marked. So again, it provides you the flexibility depending on how you want to run your courses, especially over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of interest in courseware with students coming in and out of online learning as well. So just a quick breakdown of how the courses work. They're broken down into units. And as I say, they're 18-week courses. So that's a semester. This one is English 10 semester A, and then you'll have English 10 semester B, and that would be your full academic year. The actual main bulk of the content are the lessons. So here you've got citing textual evidence in literature and so on, and you've got tutorials and mastery tests. And you can see each lesson has a tutorial and a mastery test. So let's go into the tutorials to give you an idea of what these look like. So the tutorials are very much like a digital workbook, and it's a mix of video, audio, pictures, and text. So it's very much a multimedia textbook. And the idea of this would be that the students work through this at their own pace, or you can use this in a lesson, doing it all together if you like. But the students do have access to this. And they would read through the content. They'll also have practice questions that aren't marks, but they're there for the students to explore the topic. And then along the side here, they have resources. So this one has guided notes. It had excerpts from any text. So anything they might need is available digitally in this resources section. They also have access to a dictionary, slide narration, and click to speak tools. And also a translate tool. So you can copy and paste a sentence in the tutorials and translate it into any of these languages. What you also have is a highlighter. So if the student needs to revise this topic later, they can use that highlighter. And they'll also have a notebook on here as well. So as I say, it's very much like a digital workbook. So the students will work through this. This one's 24 pages, but again, depending on the topic, it can be between 20 and 60 pages. So they can work through this at their own pace. They can save and exit and come back to it, and all the highlighting and note-taking will still be there for them when they get back, which is really good for revision. Once they've done that tutorial, they'll then do a mastery test. So this mastery test is proving mastery. I'm logged in as a teacher, so I get the answer key, but obviously a student wouldn't get that. But the student's going to get asked 5 questions, and there's a bank of 20 questions here. So if they do fail this mastery test, they can go back through the tutorial and then try this again with different questions. And as I say, this piece, any of the assessments in here are automatically marked for you. So they're multiple choice and drag and drop, similar to Study Island. So they work through that mastery test and then they move on to the next lesson. So that's the main bulk of the content of that of the lessons. But then you also have availability of discussions where it's like an open-ended question where the student can input their opinion on a certain topic. And this is something the teacher marks because it needs the students there to write a bit of a longer response, which is difficult for a computer to mark. But you get a rubric to help you with that. You also get a unit activity, which is usually an essay or creative writing or something like that. Again, where the teacher has to mark because it's more of a long form response. But the benefit of that is that where the student allows the student to show their understanding, not just through multiple choice questions, but also through long form responses and ideas and that sort of thing. At the end of each unit, they'll have a post-test, and at the end of the course, they'll have an end of semester test. But if you've got those students who might have failed this course before, or they've been away from school for a long time, we also have pre-tests. So what the pre-test will do is give the students questions on everything they're about to do in this unit, and anything they show mastery on, they will be exempted from that particular topic. So it can speed up an 18-week course to a 9-week course just by focusing in on the areas that they need to master or need help with. So those pre-tests, although they're optional, they're a really valuable tool, especially for those students who are catching up and trying to recover those high school credits. Now that's the breakdown of how a course is structured. And if you're using courseware, what you're able to do with this content is actually build your own course. So you can use our custom course builder. So let's say we're doing English 10A, for example. I can come in and I can just drag and drop what I need into here. So let's just start this course again. So I can come into the courses. I can find the course that I was looking at just now. So here we go. And I can just simply drag and drop the areas that I want to. And if in my curriculum, for example, I might not do character and plot development in fiction, so I can remove that. But maybe in Unit 2, I can add in opinion and informational text into my Unit 1. And that will automatically update any of the assessments, so you don't have to remove questions or anything like that. But you can also include pieces from other units, from other subjects. So maybe I want some business English in here. I'm also able to add in my own content. So I can add in my own documents. I can add in and create my own activities if I want to. So adding a photo in here and asking a question. And I can also add in my own discussions. So these open-ended discussions, I can remove the ones that Edmentum have provided, and I can create my own, which really allows you the opportunity to personalize this course to your school, your area, and what you've already been doing. And you're also able to add in website links as well. So again, we understand that you all already have a lot of courses that you offer and you want to maybe digitize them a little bit. So courseware allows you to do that using this course builder. And we also have then the tools to be able to track all of this. So when you set up a course, you actually have access to pacing guides and course grades and predicted grades here, which is what this is, and to keep on track on how the students are doing. A lot of reporting that you can get on a weekly or however often you want that reporting to be sent to you, that's all done automatically. Or you can generate reports on demand and really get a sense on how the student's doing, what progress they're making, what they're mastering and what they're struggling with, but also help them along their way. So if, for example, Brittany is working towards an A, but this predictive grade here is showing she's working towards a B, I can then work through all of her scores here and see how can I help this student and how can I help her to bump those scores up to where she needs to be. So we have all that back-end system as well, on top of obviously the course. We've designed courseware in a way that, and as James mentioned, courseware is something that we've had for over 60 years now. So we've designed this in a way that whatever the school's need for a digital curriculum is, there's a way that you can work courseware to do that. And I'm going to hand back over to James now to talk a little bit about the EdOptions Academy offering. So back over to you, James.
That trusty mute button gets me every time. No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Gareth, for the overview of those solutions. So hopefully they were really useful for you all to get a snippet, bird's eye view, if you like, of the type of products and solutions we have out there that a lot of international schools are using, not just in Latin America, but in Asia, in the Middle East and Europe, and obviously, from the American side and the US side, in North America, from a district level, there's a lot of these are being utilized across those areas. So thank you, Gareth. What I'd like to do now is just take you all through and give you an overview of our EdOptions Academy. So I'll just reshare my screen. So EdOptions Academy is our K through 12 virtual sorry, my slides weren't working then, is my K through 12 virtual schooling program. So this is going to offer you a number of flexible solutions to meet different situations that you may come across within your school. Locally, it could be an option for you if your school is closed still due to the pandemic, if learners are at home working remotely, or even in like a hybrid setting. So when we talk about this being a fully accredited virtual school program, what we mean is that it can be utilized within the classroom as well if you wanted to, but utilizing Edmentum and letting us deliver all the scenarios, all the background infrastructure and modeling around your school. All you're doing is you're enrolling your student into your school, but using this particular program. And this is research-based K-12 courses. As you can see by here, are actually built to state, national, and international standards. So supports US Common Core and state standards curriculum. So we've had students go off to, some of the top universities across the world in the US after completing courses within EdOptions Academy. We have teachers that are state certified and experienced, not just in the subject matter expert that they are, certified in, but also in online instruction. So what we do is we give those teachers and we offer those teachers personal development to keep them up to speed with what is happening with online teaching and learning. So you're getting the best out of the virtual program. And what's really good about the K-12 program is that it is very flexible around your school's needs and requirements. It's flexible around your students, your teachers, your administrators, and we can generally build a model that suits your needs. Every school is different, so we anticipate that every model has to be tweaked slightly and different to the next. When we talk about some of the infrastructure and the things that we're supporting you with, this is just a glance at what you would generally be getting within the EdOptions Academy kind of project if you worked with us. So these are the types of things that we would support you with and we can help you with in terms of your own brand awareness and getting recognized that you offer a virtual schooling program. We can help you with advertising and recruiting. We can help you with enrolling and registering those students. We have an amazing customer service team and implementation teams here at Edmentum that will help you do all this. There's various different things that I won't go into too much detail in these, but I'll cover the basics in a second. But as you can see from here, they fall into the categories of recruiting, registration, so registering your students, coaching them, instruction, so delivering those K-12 core needs in terms of curriculum themselves, mentorship, which I'll go into a little bit more detail in a second, where we're utilizing our teachers to mentor your teachers to deliver content, and obviously the graduation itself. So actually offering that graduation. So 21.5 credits would get you that diploma. And we are able to give you those credits. As Gareth mentioned, when you talk about courseware, I'll just give you an overview now that K through 12, K through 5 will utilize our project-based learning through Calvert Learning itself. So that's the content that we deliver with the teachers for those students. And then 6 through 12, they would utilize the courseware that Gareth's just taken you through. So this can be used in a number of different ways, but before I go into that, I'll give you a little bit of an overview in terms of what you're getting as part of the teachers and the deliverables that we have. So you can see by here, we have well over 70 full-time teachers and well over 100 part-time teachers that we mentioned are certified. The teachers are licensed or certified to teach based on the, all their states. We work within not just the US, but obviously now we branch out into the Latin America and the Caribbean. And because the schools under within the Tri Association are delivering that US curriculum, common core standards, content and deliverables, then you are perfectly aligned, not just in terms of the curriculum itself, but also in terms of some of the hours as well. You think about the different time zones that work on. These teachers can easily support you within your time zones. And then we can see by some stats there with the teachers themselves, we've got 95% have 3+ years of experience, 41 over 10+ years experience, and 13% over 20 years. So you can see that we've got a wealth of knowledge and expertise in this area. It's not something we've just picked up yesterday and we've delivered out today. You know, we've been doing a lot of work within this environment for a while, and this is why a lot of people actually use it. I touched upon in terms of grades and everything else, but we can also support career readiness and college prep and CTE prep. So there's various different, again, options within these. So it could be that you have a particular student who's not sure what they maybe want to do when they leave school. It might be that you want to take a career prep, college readiness course to help them understand whether this is something that they want to actually continue learning in and studying in. It could be that maybe you only offer the core subjects at your school, and there might be some electives that you perhaps want to offer to students for additional subjects. So a student, again, may want to test out a particular subject for a year to see whether or not, again, they want to go into college within that particular area. And they can get a real feel on top of what they're doing in your day-to-day schooling, on site in school, in person. They could be doing this, you know, externally at home. In the evenings, they could even, you know, set aside some time during their schooling hours if they've got that space to do so. What it means to you is that we will handle all the heavy lifting. And let me just talk you through some of these. So we mentioned about just the diplomas themselves and, you know, receiving your credits to achieve that diploma. We have schools that currently use it for dual diplomas. So they've got their local diploma that they're trying to achieve, and they want a US diploma to go alongside that. We're able to offer that option. And the fact the courses are virtual means that they're flexible. So when it comes to teaching those students, they will have 2 live lessons per week per subject. We also have the ability for and that's with a live teacher. And those lessons can range from anything sort of 20 minutes up to an hour, depending on the subject, depending on the content that has to be delivered. But because if I touch upon the 6 through 12 years, because they're at that mature level now, they're able to go off and work on their own. And they're able to be given those tasks, those objectives. They'll be able to work through the courseware content and achieve those credits as they do so in the older years as well to gain that diploma. What they're also able to do is get access to, let's say, what we call like a teacher drop-in session. So the teachers have Zoom sessions that are set up where the actual students can drop in and they can ask questions and they can learn more about what it is the objective of the lesson might have been. They'd want to check on a couple of questions. And with that as well, we also have like a ticketing service. So there's a question asked via a student to the teacher of record. That teacher has a 24-hour response window to reply to that student, to obviously then help that student continue with their learning. And again, the learning is flexible. We've done in hours, out of hours, weekends. As long as they've got, you know, the connection, internet connection, a laptop or a device to work on, then they're able to study. Yeah, as I mentioned here, we can solve scheduling conflictions. So what this is talking about is, you know, there might be a particular lesson or subject, sorry, that a student wants to learn, but it conflicts with something else they're studying. You can use Edmentum to offer that additional subject. And just in general, you know, those 400 semesters of courses that we're talking about, there's a lot of content in there for these students to learn from. And that's what our teachers will be using to deliver the content. And then the last thing really is if we talk about some of the grading options and things like that. So what we're able to do is break EdOptions Academy down into, I would say, 3 key areas. You've got your full K-12 schooling options, which I spoke about. We have the teacher mentoring offering. So this is our teachers within EdOptions Academy mentoring and training your teachers at your school to deliver the content that Gareth just gone through with you. So for example, courseware or Calvert. If your school doesn't offer, for example, the high school diploma or the credits to go with the diploma, we can handle that. But what it means is, let's say we go with the young year. So let me give you an example. I work with a school in Haiti at the moment where they use the mentoring services for their younger years until it becomes to the years where they start their credits and they start aiming for that diploma itself. They use the mentoring service to deliver the content, so they're getting them ready for the diploma. As soon as that student becomes of age to start earning those credits and arranging for that diploma in 9 through 12, what's going to happen then in those years is we're then able to support that from a full K-12 virtual option. So young years, they're using us for the mentoring. The older years, we're actually offering the full virtual schooling program to get those students, to give them the diplomas, to get their credits, so they can go on and be ready for their next venture. And then we're handling all that for that school in those younger years and those older years. So it just means that we are providing everything that student needs, but the school themselves can continue doing their model of on-site with their own teachers, but we're just giving them that option of gaining a US diploma at the end of it, which is something they wouldn't normally have been able to do. And then we have a tutoring service, which falls under kind of the FEV tutor as well, where you can purchase hours upfront to be used to tutor additional tutoring for those students. And they are kind of pay-as-you-go hours, so once they're used up, you buy some more and so on. So it's just additional support. On top of that, probably the fourth option would be, as I mentioned earlier on, just a single course or a couple of electives that maybe that student wants to take that your school doesn't currently offer. Or it could be, I mentioned earlier on, a teacher isn't available. So again, I've had inquiries recently where schools have come to us saying they've got an English teacher that's actually going on maternity leave perhaps, and they haven't got the resources to deliver. So they come to us to help them deliver those credits, deliver the lessons, the live lessons, and so on. Now, what that means for you as a full-time student is that we'll also do your grading for you, and there are grading options and flexibility, again, like we mentioned, within all this that I'm talking about. So it could be that a school just wants us to do the mentoring and then grade the student. We could do that. So there are, again, options to mix and match some of these particular solutions. I think what I'm getting to is EdOptions Academy's got it all. It's got the flexibility. It meets your needs where you need us, or if you can't offer a student something they want. But the benefits to using something like this is you're not just losing your student perhaps at a certain year group or year grade, sorry. So I've spoken to schools recently as well, where schools only support K through 8, they don't support 9 through 12, or they support 6 through 12 and not the K through 5. Again, what would happen in those situations where the schools would generally turn those students, or their customers in a sense, away, and other schools would pick those students up. So what we're giving you the ability to do is to enroll those students and continue to run your school as a business, which is what it is, whilst obviously offering education to those students. What I'd encourage you to do is, if there's anything that you actually need from an EdOptions Academy point of view right now, is just to get in touch. And it says here, accelerate learning outcomes through those options that I've spoken about, through the course content, through the curriculum, through the exact path, through the assessment formats, the diagnostics, and everything else. And like Gareth alluded to recently, we've had a lot of requests as well for schools that are starting to work with their map data as well. Schools have to manually do a lot of work with that. Teachers have to create the content to deliver to get those students back on track, and obviously we can help you support them, or by creating those automatic learning paths. So with the map data, if you're thinking about doing something with it, feel free to get in touch, and we can certainly discuss and see how we can help you and support you to those needs. So whether it's just digital content only you need, just assessment prep, whether it's a diagnostic assessment with learning paths, or whether it's a full K-12 option virtually, or just a subject support from your teachers, for your teachers, or for the learners themselves through our teachers, feel free to get in contact with Edmentum. On that note, I'm conscious I've kept you for quite a significant amount of time now. I want to thank you for attending the session. I want to thank you for those of you who are going to watch this video after. And and encourage you to get in touch if you need any help. We're here to assist in Latin America and the Caribbean. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to Tri Association for setting this up. And I wish you all the best for the remainder of the school year. Thank you very much.